After ridding Ith of the pirates, Leif continued on towards Manster. He soon came across a small fort called the Gate of Kells. Lobos, how is the child hunting coming along? Ah, Lord Rydrick, we have gathered all of the children in this area. I've locked them in the dungeon for now, but what do you wish to do with them? Good, keep them there until the Lopto Church comes to pick them up. Make sure to be on your guard, because the Magic Group might come to claim them as well. Magic Group? Oh, the rebels from Manster. They're still around? I thought I had killed them off, but they seem to have recovered somehow. Apparently they have a new leader. Irritating little pests. Indeed. Are you going back to Manster, my lord? No, I think I will stay here for a little bit. I'm tired from the long journey. I should be able to rest without worry in this impregnable fort. I'll leave the rest up to you. Yes, my lord. Ho ho ho! This looks like trouble. That is the Kelv's Gate, the entrance to Manster, Lord Leif. It is small for a fort, but it is a place more frightening than hell for the people living around here. Why is that? It is now the headquarters for the child hunting. Child hunting? All children between the ages of 7 to 13 are taken and sent to the imperial capital of Valhalla. Once there, they are reborn as followers of the dark god Loki. What? No! It's the truth. Many children are being captured and held here as we speak. Such inhuman behavior! August, I'm going to rescue the children. I'm sorry, but we'll have to separate here. Yes, then let me give one last bit of advice. You won't be able to enter the fort on horseback, so dismount before going in. Also, the children can't move, so carry them back to their homes. The villagers will be very grateful to you if you do. Good luck, Prince Leif. August, you knew I was the prince? Of course. I wish to help you rise back to power, Prince Leif. Farewell for now. Let us meet again in Manster. Alright, so in case you're wondering the reason for that cut there, I figured it would be easier on me if I recorded the intro to the chapter and the actual gameplay of it separately. Therefore, I don't have to replay the intro slowly each time, so I have a file for recording the voiceover. I can just jump right back into the chapter if I screw up. I learned that from Chapter 2X. I'm going to be doing that from now on, so you should expect that. Anyway, we got a new unit from last chapter, Leifus, who is a thief. Safie said that, he was a good guy at heart and he could be trusted, but we're the player, and we know that's definitely not the case. Hell, the guy even said that he would try to sell Leif out to the Empire if he had the chance. Dude's evil. He shouldn't be on our team. Anywho, as a thief, Leifus' role is almost purely utility. In fact, he is a god-awful combat. For starters, Leifus has really bad strength, really bad build, and low skill as well, which is weird when you consider fast units usually have good skill as well. Adding to that, Leifus has a PCC, Pursuit Critical Coefficient, of 0. This actually means that after his first attack, Leifus cannot critical as well, as, any number times 0 is 0. There's really only two things he's good for, using a lockpick to open doors and chests, and occasionally stealing a couple items from enemies. In the earlier Fire Emblem games, thieves only opened doors and chests. In the Game Boy Advance games, thieves gained the ability to steal items from an enemy if their speed was higher. In Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn, thieves had all the above abilities, but they could steal weapons as well, given that their strength was higher than the weapon's weight, and it wasn't equipped by the enemy. But in Thracia 776, as long as an item's weight is less than the thief's build, and the thief is faster, thieves can steal anything, even equipped weapons. This is really hard to take advantage of, because two of the thieves you get have really bad build, but in a later chapter you'll get a very good thief with a good build, and with the right amount of luck and the right Crusader scroll, I once had him with 20 build, and I could steal all to my heart's desire. It was so much fun. I really hope I can pull that off in this run as well. It was way more fun than just silly stuff like creating a really powerful unit. I had here a unit that was basically a troll. Oh, that paladin over there is coming at me with that master lance. It looks threatening. Yoink! Guess you don't have a weapon anymore. Ha 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 ha. Damn it, I only wanted Finn to harm that soldier. I needed to steal his door key. My general tactic, and also the one I recommend for people on this chapter, is bum rush the fort as fast as you can. You need to get the children down to those homes ASAP before brigands start spawning and attacking the homes. Because if they destroy the home, you don't get the item in there. And a couple of the items in there are stuff you really want. One of them is going to give you so much hell if you don't get it. You really need to get all of those children down there. Seifi here is another new unit I got from last chapter, or the start of this one. It's kind of unclear. She's a healer, and one of the more useful ones for much of the game. In addition to having a heal staff, Seifi also has the repair staff, which is same as the Chimeran from other Fire Emblem games. It restores a weapon's uses to full. I have the same problem with it as other Fire Emblem games. I'm too much of a weapon hoarder, so either I don't have a need for it, or when I do need to use it, I keep putting it off because I should save it for something really important. In fact, most of the time, I use it to repair warp and rescue staffs because those are needed for a lot of crazy stuff in this game. So, something about the pre-chapter text for this got me really interested, and it's a bit of a history lesson, so I hope it's interesting for you people. A couple of semesters ago in university, I took History of the Modern Middle East as an elective course. One of the things we learned about that in that course, about the late Ottoman Empire, was their practice of devşirme, which is literally Turkish for collecting. This practice was one where Ottoman military officials would be sent to the villages of their Christian underlings, and they would take children to raise in the Turkish court, and they would convert them to Islam, and they would give them a very great formal education and military training, and when they were done, they would be made into noblemen. They would be knights, or janissaries in this case, and they would basically kind of be bondsmen to the Sultan of the time. This practice lasted from about the mid-1600s to about the end of the 17th century, and it was instituted by the Sultan of the time in order to create a new class of nobility that would be exclusively loyal to him, and to counteract the growing power of the official Turkish nobility. So, we learned in the next chapter the real reason behind the child hunts. It's not so much that they want to sacrifice these children to the dark god Lopto, but they're also putting them through this harsh, I guess, indoctrination to the Lopto Church in order to create new followers for the regime and new nobility to replace the old nobility of the Grand Empire, which the Lopto Church wants to get rid of, but can't quite yet because Arvis is still in power. So, doesn't that sound really familiar to the real-life story I told you about the Ottoman Empire and devşirme? I mean, I don't know if the writers for this game, or Genealogy of the Holy War, which is when the child hunts were first introduced, knew about this particular part of Middle Eastern history, but that's a really interesting connection, isn't it? Just thought something I found that would be interesting. You may have noticed that in the top left there is a mage, the very first one we've seen in this entire game. So I figured I'd take this time to talk about magic and how it's a little different from other weapon types in this game, aside from the stuff I've already mentioned. So, as you know, magic is both magic and resistance in this game, but tomes also have another part to them. Unlike regular weapons, a tome's weight is directly applied against the user's speed. The user's build has nothing to do with it, so you can counteract the heavy weight of, say, a steel axe by having a high build, but if you have a heavy tome, you're going to be slow no matter what. This really wouldn't be, well, much of an issue regardless, because almost every magic user in this game has terrible build regardless, but I believe this was put in to counteract the fact that magic in this game is kind of broken as all hell, or, I don't know, maybe they just wanted a bit of Genealogy of the Holy War in this game. In Genealogy, there was no way to counteract a weapon's weight. It just minused your speed. Just plain and simple. One great thing about magic, though, the first enemies with tomes you'll appear all have fire and thunder tomes, and then eventually you start seeing dark mages with Jormung, but that's a different story. Anyway, Leafus's base build is just enough so that he can steal fire and thunder tomes. So this makes him arguably pretty useful for this part of the game, as you can just walk up to any mage and pluck their tomes right out of their hands. I have no idea how this is supposed to work, if they're already like holding a weapon. I mean, how do they get it away from them? But hey, it's really fun to do. Othin's strength right now is a bit sluggish, but luckily he got enough build points to use a steel axe without penalty, so that's one thing about him. Othin generally doesn't get as much build or strength as Havan, but in this case, he sacrificed what strength he would have gotten for a bit of extra build, and in this case, I think it pays off. I'm having a bit of a conundrum here, because I don't want any of those guys to get next to Seifi, or they'll capture her and cheat and steal her staves on the same turn, and that would just absolutely suck. The upcoming few chapters are, well, they put you in a tight situation, so I'm going to try and give as much levels to Leaf as I can. In fact, for my next recording, he actually is kind of my most useful unit at the moment, but I'll show you why that is in a bit. Wow, strength again? You really are trying hard, Tanya, but your base is so low it really doesn't matter. And even if you get enough bow rank to use a steel bow, my god, that thing weighs so much, you won't be double hitting anyone with your terrible build. Oh, and one unique thing that Thracia 776 likes to do about its staffs. Staffs can double heal in this game. I don't know the formula for it, but it's a pretty low chance. But they figured this is kind of a useful thing to put in, so we should put something in that can be detrimental. So stats in this game can also miss. Why? Why would you do that? Why would you make it so staffs can miss? Why? Why? And by missing staffs, I'm not talking about status staffs like sleep, berserk, whatnot. I'm talking about heal staffs. They can miss. I've had it happen to me quite a few times in a row in other recordings. It's just, I don't know why they would do that. I mean, why staffs? Why do you betray me when I need you the most? There's Dagda's charge skill, kind of rearing its ugly head again. Anyway, there's not a lot of interesting stuff to talk or discuss about for a bit, so enjoy a little sped up part until interesting stuff starts happening again. So I am inside the fort now, and there are a few new objectives that I'm going to need to go over with you, but what I need to do. Most obvious is rescuing the children. That's somewhat simple, just open the door, pick up the children with the help command, and take them down to their respective villages. Well, it's a bit of a tricky dicky one because they don't tell you what villages you have to do, and some of the names aren't translated right, so I was wandering around wondering what the hell village I have to take Merc to when none of them talk about a kid named Merc. Second major objective is a bit more subtle. Past the door on the right and upwards is a bishop. This bishop is holding a door key and a chest key. Eventually, he will open the door to the two chests there, and he will open a chest that contains a meteor tome. This is bad. You don't want this to happen, or he's going to peg your units with meteor and probably kill one. So, what I do in this chapter is I give Dagda the Brave Axe, and I have him go and capture that guy as quick as I can. And then I usually sell the meteor tome and the tome he's carrying, Elfire, because no one is going to have high enough fire magic rank to use those. The other chest contains an armor slayer, which is going to be very useful for the next chapter, provided I actually use it, which I don't, because the only person with a high enough sword rank to use it is Leaf, and he's better off attacking the armors in that next chapter with another weapon that I'll be giving him, but you'll see. As August said at the start of this chapter, if I want Finn to enter this fort, I'm going to have him dismount. I don't have him do that because he's better served defending the homes down there from the bandits alongside Leaf and Yvel and Marty, who I send down there. I don't know why I even thought Marty would be capable of it. I had him attack a couple times in this chapter. I don't think he hit anyone once. Yeah, Marty, useless. I know, you probably get it by now, but I just can't get over how terrible and pointless this guy is. I like to capture the armors here that have short swords so I can sell them in the store for a good profit, but I don't think I ended up selling any of them. I think I mostly stored a couple in the storage area, which first shows up in this chapter. You don't really get you don't have like a convoy unit that travels with you, and like earlier Fire Emblem games, you can access the convoy from certain locations on the map, and you can access it from your base menu when you get the ability to rally your units before the start of a chapter. I don't know if you noticed, but Tanya and Yvel actually started the game with a rather oddly placed door key. And I think this chapter was the reason why they did that. I mean, if you didn't recruit Leafus, then if you killed the guard outside the door with the only door key you could get outside the fort, completing this chapter would be impossible. So kudos to them for thinking up that creative solution, although I think they could have handled it a bit better. I mean, they gave them to them at the start of the game. You have no idea what they're going to be used for. I mean, maybe you discarded one because your inventory was full. I mean, I've never done that, but you never know what people are going to do. I think it would have been better if they had, say, another house on this chapter that would give you a door key or something. I don't know, just a thought. Anyway, interesting stuff done for a bit. I'll come back once stuff I can talk about is relevant again. So, see you back in a bit. And now, Dagda's mission, should he choose to accept it, capture that bishop before he meteors us to death. Spoiler alert, he succeeds. Let's see and watch how. The Brave Axe allows him to attack a ton of times, and for once the charge skill actually helps me by ensuring that if he somehow misses the 3 hits necessary to capture this guy, he gets another 4 hits to do so. Good job, Dagda. You did great. So, there's an issue I'm having with the recording for this particular chapter. it's a really, really long video, and there's just not enough stuff for me to talk about. Most of this later part of this chapter is me just moving the children or going to the store to sell stuff, and it's really not that interesting. I would, skip most of it by just speeding it up, but I get the feeling that that's becoming quite often for me to do because I just don't have enough stuff to talk about. I was hoping I could get a couple of my buddies to maybe talk about some stuff, but they're all busy right now, and I've got no one else to really help me out, so I don't know. If you do watch this, please tell me in the comments what you'd rather see me do, or if you have any suggestions, because I don't really know what to do. I really don't want to just speed up huge portions of this chapter, but I may have to just do it by default if nothing happens, so keep me informed, please. I want to make these videos as best as I can make them. And this is nearing 20 minutes, so I think that's good enough for the first part. I'll see you guys in part 2 of chapter 3. Man, this was a long recording.